Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet.
You think it's just going to be barbecue sauce?
Because if you actually read those books, it's just gobbledygook.
I really think clothes should be mandatory.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Captain America.
trailer reaction video. Welcome to a BXG Gamescast, a byproduct. Byproduct sounds like...
It sounds gross.
It sounds a little gross.
It does.
That's
all right.
BXG,
I can be gross.
Of the BXG Productions. I'm one of your hosts, the Alpha Dona guy, Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, Mr. Charles Devolver Chambers.
Nice to see you again, sir.
Yep. It's nice to see you in a t-shirt because you don't live in the frigid cold of the Northeast.
It was a balmy 65 degrees here today.
That's terrible.
It is terrible.
It's like 32.
While you dig yourself out of a torrential foot of snow.
No snow, but just wicked cold.
Wicked cold. Can you please not do that? Can you not please be stereotypical North?
That's like Boston. I mean, if you really want me to break out the Pittsburghese, like, you won't know what hit you.
Yeah, probably not. I probably won't even understand you. I'll probably just
actually you won't. I don't talk like people from Pittsburgh, even though that's the closest city to me. But like when I hear yins, I like have a stroke. So you don't even know what yins is.
People say I sound like cornbread anyway. So
it's buttery smooth though.
Like it is, maybe. And fattening for you.
So we are going to be doing a little video / podcast here on the Video Game Awards. We handpicked some of the categories to kind of go through. Not all of them, because it seems like every year more and more esports things get added.
Yeah, there's only about 48 different groups, and it's like, who's your favorite female character with red hair?
Right. Yep. Aloy by default. I can't think.
I mean, who else would it be? That's just the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess abstain because I'm not, but that's neither here nor there.
Listen, I don't need you showing me up already. All right, let's keep it rolling.
Okay. So we have some of these things, and then the other thing about the Game Awards is there's always announcements, trailers, people pop up. Maybe there's a Gillette Man robot. Depending on who the Game Awards are sponsored by, they are presented by Jeff Keighley. He does a lot of work. I don't really put a whole lot of stock in the VGAs. I think the more prestigious award is probably the DICE Awards. And like the BAFTAs.
I mean, I don't know. Jeff Keighley really does he really does a good job. Like, I mean, he really does like all these shows he throws. He's really kind of taking it on himself to kind of be like, I'm going to do this. And over the years, I mean, God, he's been doing this for a while now, and it just keeps getting better. Like, he gets big names. I think he announced the Elden Ring, didn't he? At one of his shows?
I'm not sure if he announced it. There was definitely like a trailer, maybe a first look or something like that.
Or release date.
There was it maybe released. That's what it was. It was release date last year.
Yeah, but he gets big scoops, man. I mean, people kind of show up to his shows. So, I mean, it's kind of turned into a thing for sure.
I know that you are, eager to hear how many times I can reference it, but that is where The Last of Us was shown for the first time, was at the Video Game Awards.
Drink. Oh.
Yeah. Give me a shot of beer and a pint of whiskey. So some of these I think probably things that maybe relate to us a little bit more. Best indie game, best action, most anticipated, game of the year, obviously, best RPG, best adaptation was a fun one to throw in there because it was something that went to either TV or movie, etc. So with those things, I think I think we got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, we will throw out maybe some predictions for some of those big announcements, for some, some things that might pop up But do you have anything to add about just the VGAs in general, or shall we dive right in?
I don't know. I enjoy it, but I kind of take your lead on that. That I don't necessarily feel like there's a lot of stock in this. I mean, it is purely fan voted. They say,
right.
So that is cool. You don't have like a shady council somewhere deciding stuff. 10 full hat and all that stuff. But other than that, it's a good show, man. I'm looking forward to it.
The DICE awards are voted by developers, right? Is that
I think
accurate?
so, or like a select few, kind of like a Hall of Fame voting for baseball or something.
Yeah, I think that's why I maybe put a little bit more stock into those awards, because it's actually people who
know what they're talking about,
who know a thing or two, rather than just like Call of Duty.
Hey man, we love our dude bro audience. Don't you dare.
Don't
you dare.
Let's start with a category that is not geared towards the dude bro audience. Best indie game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. The nominees are Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, and Tunic. Now, I know you've played some of these games. I've played Stray with Cult of the Lamb, Tunic, and maybe Sifu on my to-do list, but Cult of the Lamb and Tunic are like probably right after Ragnarok for me, as far as what I'm going to be playing.
This is really close for me. Sifu was good for what it was. Stray was fine for what it was. But it's really, but for me, it's between Cult of the Lamb and Tunic.
Mm-hmm.
No question. And for many different reasons. Tunic is almost like a really boiled down, Zelda adventure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really bare bones, but like in a good way. It's no frills, no anything like that. The story is told in a very unique way that I really appreciated. And the art style is great. The combat was great. From the technical side of it, it was fantastic. But then Cult of the Lamb is like on the completely other side of that. It's very in depth, has a lot to do, a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And it also tickles that roguelike itch that I love so much from your binding. Like it has a real big Binding of Isaac feel.
Yeah.
Sure. That's almost half the game. Half the game is the adventuring, and the other half is the cult management, which is done very well. And then they're backed by Devolver Digital, which is a powerhouse nowadays.
Yep. It's your namesake.
So is Sifu, right? Sifu was Devolver too, wasn't it?
I'm not sure about that. That is your namesake, though.
I know, and oddly enough, I came up with that name first. That's assholes. Funny. But I think for me, the nod will probably go to Cult of the Lamb, just because I felt like I spent more time with it. I felt more engrossed in it. But Tunic is definitely, like, if Tunic wins, I would be okay with that.
Slow Clap was Sifu. I didn't think that. Yeah, I didn't think that was
Did Devolver publish it?
Nope, Slow Clap self-published.
Well,
and I believe that was they might have got a little bit of I thought maybe that they might have gotten a little Sony money, because that was almost marketed as a second party game, but I guess not. I would say for me personally, there's a miss on this list by not having Nobody Saves the World just on the list in general. I feel like that would have been.
What would you take off?
Probably. I don't know Neon White, so I guess I would probably take that off.
Yeah.
But the other one that I would take off is Stray, which we'll get to later when we talk about the game of the year. But that's what I would put in there. But I think just from what I've seen in the conversation around some of these things, I would say that this should be a 2-horse race with Call of the Lamb and Tunic. And I guess having not played either of them to this time, I can't really say definitively which one that I personally would vote for. But I do like the everything I've seen out of both games. I'm really interested in playing them. I was going to play Tunic, but I didn't think I would have enough time between the last game that I finished and Ragnarok's release date. So I just, I said, okay, I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
But those are two games, like I said, I want to get into both of them. To me, let me ask you this: gameplay loop for either of these games, which is in your opinion, which is a more engaging gameplay loop?
Cult of the Lamb.
Okay.
And just because of the roguelike features, it keeps you going one more run. You're recruiting new cult members. You're building relationships. You're building up your cult. Like it's cult management and the runs itself. It has a lot more to bring you back. But the antithesis to that is Tunic is very fun to adventure around in, to explore in, and to kind of go further, see what's over here, kind of unravel the story as you go. But I feel like Tunic, once you're done, you're done. Sure. And I feel like Cult of the Lamb will probably have a little bit more replayability.
Sure. Yeah, I would probably based on that give that my vote as well. So I guess that's a 2 for there.
Yep.
Best action game. For the best action game in the action genre, for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Neon White Sifu, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge.
Where are you at?
Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge. See, the thing for me with Shredder's Revenge is I love it, but I don't feel like it does anything. Of course, it's not intended to do anything new. But right. I mean, if you play it, you know what you're getting. Yeah. Like but it's very well done. It's such a good game. I love that game. As far as like, I mean, I feel like I would want to go Bayonetta 3 with this just because of that is an action game. It's nonstop. It's crazy over the top. It's like any other Bayonetta game, it's crazy whipping hairs around, guns coming out of shoes and flying demons. And like, it's crazy, but I kind of want to give a nod to Sifu here because once you get into the combat of Sifu and the action of Sifu, it feels really good. Like it's very seamless and very fluid and it feels very nice.
Yeah. I think it's nominated for best fighting game. Also, Sifu.
Which I'm very upset about. Sifu's not a fighting game.
Well, we can get into that. That's one of the ones I should have put best narrative on here because I know that there's a lot of hubbub around the best narrative nominees. I think like the thing for me about putting Call of Duty on this list is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know it's doing really well commercially, like really, really well commercially.
For sure.
But it's just whatever at this point. You know what I mean? Like I'm just over Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me about Shredder's Revenge is that you're right. It doesn't do anything new, but I think that it being a love letter to those 90s arcade beat 'em up Turtles games, obviously, but just the whole 9, Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, all that shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game that it probably most closely resembles is Turtles in Time. I love that game. It is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite games. Yeah. But that's what it's just like you said, very well done. There is a steep. It's a game it's easy to get through the whole way.
Yeah.
But it is extremely difficult to master.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's what, even though this was a summer release, I think, but I still go back to like the replay value of, okay, I unlocked Casey Jones. So now I want to play as him. I want to get the ending as April. I want, the Splinter thing. So, and then the arcade modes and some of the different modes and being able to play cooperatively with friends online as well as couch co-op. It's just fun. I just really appreciated it. I thought it was just like a perfect blast from the past that kind of reimagined or reinvigorated that sort of genre in the same way that other games more recently have sort of pumped a little bit of life into those old genres that we don't really see anymore because we're so inundated with shooters and open worlds and all these things. It's bleeding
eyes graphics and stuff like that. So when somebody hits that nostalgia point perfectly, it feels good. And I mean, honestly, Shredder's Revenge is definitely one of those games where it just hits that sweet spot of like enough modernness to not be cumbersome, but definitely harks back to older times of shoving quarters in the 4-player machine.
Yeah, they had Turtles in Time at our local Pizza Hut, and that was just like,
oh my god, yeah,
absolutely. So that's where my vote is Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, I think I would still stay with Bayonetta 3 just because it's just wacky, crazy. Like it's just,
it
is action to me. Like that just is definitely action.
Wackadoo, Bluey.
Easy.
Best action adventure game, which is different.
Of course, it's different
than best action.
Sir,
game.
how? Yeah.
Right. And then guess what? There's also going to be a category for best adventure game.
Wow. Cutting edge.
Well, you got your point and clicks. Best action adventure game for the best action adventure game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. A Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Tunic. God of War.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, of course it's God of War. I mean, I almost want to give like honorable mention to Horizon just because it's still a well done game, but more of an open world.
Yeah.
So that kind of fits in with the traversal part of this because I feel like God of War is very linear.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And then Horizon's a little bit more robust and stuff, but of course it's God of War. I don't feel like I have any qualms of.
No. Feels like a little bit of recency bias in this, and I'm curious where your head's at as far as Elden Ring not being on this list.
That is weird. Like, I mean, I feel like that's more of an executive decision at this point because if you look at a lot of these categories, it's God of War and Elden Ring. Like any sort of breadcrumb that links it to the category, it's like, well, we're going to put them in there. So
right.
I feel like this might be maybe a little nod to Ragnarok to be like, hey, you're probably going to win this category. Kind of like I don't know, like it's a very odd. Would you consider Elden Ring an action game?
Is there not action in it?
Well, I mean, you could say that for Pong. I
for
guess.
Everything, right? And that's the thing about some of these things, and we'll kind of loop that in here with the next. This is where I think the Game Awards, there's too many categories, and there's like the case could be made for different games in different categories. So best action adventure game. There's like one chapter in Stray where you have the light and you're able to like barbecue the bad guys or whatever.
Right.
That's not an action game.
Yeah.
It is an adventure game in the sense that it is 2 degrees away from being a point and click adventure game.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, at least for Tunic, I can say there is boss fights and combat.
Sure.
I mean, it is a lot of adventure, but there's still enough combat in there to warrant it being an action game.
Now, this is my gripe, okay, which is it comes to the next category, best RPG. For the best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences, okay, which is interesting, including massive multiplayer experiences, okay. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Triangle Strategy, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Live Alive, Elden Ring. So if you really want to say, before we get into that list, if you really want to say what's the best game designed with rich character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences, then none of these games holds a candle to Final Fantasy 14 as an ongoing thing.
Right.
And then I think that, honestly, I just think that characterization of a role-playing game bastardizes what a role-playing game is. Because to me, a role-playing game is, and I guess it's the whole like Western versus Japanese role-playing game sort of conundrum, right?
Right.
And I think that really, what are you doing? Like, we all kind of know what an RPG is.
Mm-hmm.
And everything now is like, well, introducing RPG elements to Madden. And it's like, oh, okay, there's RPG elements because there's stats, right?
Or you can make your own player.
Right. So,
I mean, isn't that essentially an RPG? Making your own player, going through their career?
Right.
You're role-playing that character.
You're role-playing that character. But, okay, are you not also role-playing the role of Kratos in God of War?
We're really muddy in the waters here.
Well,
but I mean, you have a valid point, and the whole East and West thing. It's like you have a game like, say,
Horizon.
Mass Effect. Say Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
You make your own shepherd, level them up. You are that character. You make all the choices and stuff. Versus a Final Fantasy,
right,
where the character's already pre-made. But they're both considered RPGs.
Right. Well, Horizon is an open world RPG.
Right. Does RPG just mean leveling stats then?
Well, this is like, I feel my problem is that it's the same as the action adventure thing versus the action versus just adventure. And I don't think that this is a problem that's unique to the Game Awards. I think that because things have been melded, so I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Things have been blended so in a manner that is, there's like not a word for what I'm trying to say, and it's starting to piss me off. Because I want to say egregious, but I don't think it's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just the industry in general, just even over the past 10 years, has grown exponentially.
Sure.
So you're going to have these game genres kind of come out that are taking bits and pieces from other successful things. It's just natural, right? Yeah. It's just natural for, hey, that's successful. They did this well. We can put that in our game. And then all of a sudden, everything's gray.
Right. And I think that, and this is a whole nother topic that we can get on in another show, whatever. But I think this is why in the modern era of gaming, Grand Theft Auto 3 is the most important game. Because that was really the first game that it was open world, and there's racing, and there's combat, and there's
like
narrative.
I truly felt like you could just do
whatever.
I agree with that. And I
think that is where people started to go, okay, well, and they started to do this a little bit with San Andreas, but okay, well, now they can have stats. And now they can have, different ways to level and things like that. And I think that that's the problem is we try to shoehorn these games into different things, like you alluded to with God of War, where it's like, okay, well, it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be either Elden Ring or God of War. So how can we kind of space them out? Yeah. Because to me, Elden Ring is as much of an RPG as Horizon is. It's an open world action RPG. Yep. But to me personally, when I think of RPG, I think of turn-based Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, but then also the sort of the Western role-playing games like Skyrim and Fallout. So it's just kind of like, how do you really compare a game like Xenoblade Chronicles, which is I haven't delved into, but I assume that's some sort of turn-based. It's a square game, so you kind of know what you're getting there. How do you put that in the same category as Elden Ring and really Pokemon and not call it some type of farce? And again, I don't think that this is a problem that's unique to the Game Awards. I think that this is a problem industry wide, where it's like, well, how do you describe your game? How do you market a game to someone who doesn't know what it is? Like, if you just say, well, I'll give you a perfect example. Before we brought you on and we did E3 reactions, one of the games that we did was Elden Ring. And this was with Greg, who's not as knowledgeable about games. And he was like, well, it looked cool, but I don't know what that is. And so it's like, well, how do you explain a Souls game to someone? Or how do you explain something that's not just cookie cutter sports, JRPG, Metroidvania,
right?
Like tactical RPG, whatever. How do you explain that to somebody who's never seen that before? And I guess that's a problem that, it's for casuals or whatever, and the hardcore people know what a Souls game is, or what what you're getting from a BioWare game that's like Dragon Age or Mass Effect. But right. I don't know. It's just the waters are real muddy.
It's a weird thing. It's almost like I hate to sound old blood here, but it's almost like you just get a feel for what it is. Mm-hmm. Like if you've just gamed enough, gamers. If you're a gamer, and like I had this conversation with somebody actually in recent memory. We were talking about a game, and I mentioned it was an RPG, and she was like, "No way, no, this ain't an RPG."
Right.
So I looked up marketing for it. RPG, and it's like, well, how is it an RPG? And I couldn't answer it. I just knew that it was. Like, it was such a bizarre thing. It was
was Madden.
Yeah, it was Madden. It was Madden. Huge Madden fan. But I see what you mean. Like, the waters are real muddy. So maybe this is just more of like everybody gets a trophy kind of thing.
It feels like it a little bit.
But I mean, this is Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, without a doubt, it's Elden Ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. I think that description is a little bit pretentious, but
sure. It's Jeff
Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 remake, Starfield, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
So let me ask you something.
Final Fantasy 16. Moving on.
Boo. Oh my God. So just for this, I know, okay, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a sequel. Sure. Mm-hmm. Prequel, sequel. I don't know how the timeline falls. It doesn't matter. It's coming after Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
Starfield, new IP, but in the same bones as Skyrim and Fallout.
Yep.
Right. How is Resident Evil 4 on this list?
Not sure.
It is a remake.
Yeah.
It is a remake. How is it?
It's pushing
the medium forward.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
It's you're gonna take the shitty tank controls out.
And just cutting edge.
It's making it modern. It's bringing it to modernity.
I mean, Hogwarts Legacy, new IP, and Final Fantasy 16. I don't know. I've never heard of Final Fantasy. I heard the other 15 are all right. Do I have to play the other 15 to know what's happening in 16?
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure you really
can I knock that out in a weekend, or
make sure you get to the final bosses of both 11 and 14. That's very important.
Very important. For me, this is hard, pushing the gaming medium forward. So that, to me, that is, what are you doing new? What are you doing new?
So we can take Resident Evil off the list. Let's just kick that aside.
Sure.
I think that you can probably push Final Fantasy off the list.
Sure.
Push it aside. This looks like, for what we saw in that trailer, we did a trailer reaction. You check it out. YouTube.com/BXG Productions.
Plug.
Yep. I'll link it. I don't think that, it's a story of political intrigue.
That
I bet you
3/4 of other Final Fantasy games have done.
Well, I was just going to say, I bet you $5 is not as good as Final Fantasy Tactics story.
So I mean, you got that. So okay, we took Resident Evil off. So,
I'm going to say that you can probably nix, as far as pushing the medium forward, you can nix Zelda.
Yes, I agree.
Because I think it's just going to be more of Breath of the Wild.
I agree. Which is that leaves you with Starfield and Hogwarts.
Hogwarts Legacy. Now, here's my question. We haven't seen a true Bethesda GameWorks game since Fallout 4. Because 76 was co-developed with, I think, their Austin team or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not a full
Bethesda thing. It wasn't fully in-house, right?
Right. The question is, have they fixed their engine?
No.
So then the answer to this question is Hogwarts.
Hogwarts. I mean, it defaults to Hogwarts because Starfield's still running on like I said, the same bones as Fallout.
They
haven't changed the game engine or anything like that. Now they've upgraded it or whatever, but it's
Sure.
still the same game engine. It's still
That's been
for
kicking around since PS3 and Xbox 360.
right.
Well, how's that pushing the game forward, the gaming medium forward by running out this tired?
It has to be Hogwarts.
I really want to play Starfield though.
I mean, I will.
They said, listen, Pete Hines, Todd Howard, one of the two, was like, it's a Han Solo simulator. And I was like, fuck, now I have to buy an Xbox.
Sold. I mean, it's probably Todd Howard. Todd Howard could probably sell me water in the ocean, you know?
Yeah. It'll be on PC, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'll probably just play it on my laptop, actually. All right, moving on. Best adaptation, celebrating game-inspired projects across the entertainment industry, TV, movies, comics, and more. I want to know what the and more is.
I want to know what celebrating means. I mean, who the fuck is throwing parties for? Anyway, yes. Okay. Anyway.
I want to know what the and more is. Toys?
Toys, I guess. I mean, projects.
What if that was one of the nominees? It was like, well, here are the nominees: Arcane, League of Shadows, or League of Legends, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, The Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Uncharted. What if one of them was just like, it was all of those things and take off Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and instead it's just a statue of Mario? It's like this statue of Mario is the other nominee.
Like just one piece of artwork.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean, and more, right?
It's just Chris Evans.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I'd love it.
Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pratt. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Chris Evans. No, it's Chris Evans in my world. Shut up.
Show some respect to Captain America.
Yeah, you're right.
Arcane, League of Legends, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, The Cuphead Show, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Uncharted.
So you're going to be mad, but I'm taking Uncharted right off the rip.
That's fine. As a movie, I don't think it's as good as, like, as a video game representation movie, I don't think it's as good as Sonic. I liked it. I was better than I expected, but it still wasn't like good. I mean, it was good. It just wasn't noteworthy. It's a hard, it was a dumb action movie. You could have called it like Fred's Quest and it would have been the same goddamn movie.
I love Fred's Quest. Sonic 2 is very good. Sonic the Hedgehog movies have been very good. For me, honestly,
Edge Runners.
It comes to between Edge Runners and Cuphead. Cuphead Show is very good.
I haven't watched it and I want to.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very good.
Did you beat Cuphead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're a better gamer than I am.
I'm a monster, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cuphead's great. How dare you? You really owe it to yourself.
I've played it.
You owe yourself to beat it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do. Hello. Hello. Anyway, and the DLC is very good too.
That's what, the tasty last morsel or something like that?
Delicious.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's it. What you said. But I think the nod's going to go to Edge Runners because I feel like it had way more of an impact.
Yeah.
Than any of these other ones. And it's very good.
I think that it probably had an impact in terms of making people interested in a game that was released in an unplayable, broken condition. And it won back some goodwill for that. But for me, I'm going to say that, and I know you and I have some experience with games like that, Final Fantasy 14, No Man's Sky, per example. But I'm going to make the case for Sonic. And the reason I'm going to make the case for Sonic is because, number one, those are, and the second one is better than the first one, but those two are the best video game adaptation movies by a country mile. It's not even close. I mean, unless you want to count the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo-led Mario Brothers that Dennis Hopper signed up for, not even knowing what it was. I'll credit you that.
And I mean, how do you take Doom off the list with The Rock? How dare you? Really? I mean, really, clearly you haven't given this any thought
whatsoever. Wasn't there a Driver movie? Number one, do you remember the game Driver? And number two, wasn't there a movie based on it?
I don't know if they're related, actually. I think they just share a name.
I gotta do some recon. I think
Sonic 2 is very good though.
I think that Sonic 2 maybe brought younger kids into gaming. Like, okay, this movie's cool. I want to experience Sonic.
Yeah, chili dogs.
And not so much that, but I want to experience Sonic. And there was, it was right around the time of the movie. It was a big boost in my house. Was Team Sonic Racing was a PS Plus game. Mm-hmm. Sonic Frontiers just arrived here. And I think that those movies have done a little bit of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on a franchise that didn't have a whole lot of goodwill because the last 2 decades of games have sucked.
Yes.
And so the movies coming along and getting people excited and interested about that character, and then the uptick in quality with some of the more recent games, including the Kart Racer and then Sonic Frontiers. I think there's another one in there like Sonic Mania or something like that. That's why I'm going to give the vote to Sonic. And also just Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's great.
Yeah. And he's just playing Ace Ventura as a bad guy in these movies.
Yeah. Which is great. That's some of his best work.
Yeah. I saw something today that they were going to do. There was a script written for, this is totally off the topic, but there's a script written for a Bruce Almighty sequel in which Jim Carrey played Satan based on the Ace Ventura scene where he was the White Devil in Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls.
Yeah.
Shame that got shot down, huh?
Yeah. Oh, what could have been.
Yeah. Do you think he'll be back for Sonic 3? Because there is you think he's done?
Yeah.
There is a post-credit that stings who the next bad guy will likely be, but
no spoilers.
No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say who it is.
Yeah.
But all I'll say is that, missing him casts a long shadow on that series.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because he's a big draw, right?
Right.
Yeah. How dare you?
Oh, excuse me. Game of the year. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. And the nominees are A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. One of these things is not like the others.
What is Stray doing on there? Why? I mean, honestly, I would have been more okay with Stray being off that list and put Call of Duty in there.
Shredder's Revenge.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't understand. Stray was good. It was a good game.
Was it?
For sure. Sure. Yeah, for what it was fun. It was what? A 5-hour game? 8-hour game, maybe? For what it is, it was fun. Cat simulator, you're walking around in a cyberpunkish kind of world. It was fun. But is it game of the year worthy?
No.
Stray's like a nice weekend thing. You knock it out, don't think much else of it. Yeah. So, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's more like if you played one Xenoblade Chronicles, you played them all. They're all the same. I mean, to me, they are. Horizon, we've talked about that plenty in our Sony power rankings. Mm-hmm. Check that out on the YouTube and on the podcast. And then the Plague Tale Requiem, I did play a bit of that. I haven't played all the way through it because it is on Game Pass TM, and it's good. It's good. Is it breaking down barriers? No. But it's definitely worth. But
it's got rat physics.
Yeah, I mean, rat physics are hot. The way they scurry all over you. Yeah, it's kind of. Let me turn down the lighting here if we're going to talk about. Anyway,
talk about rat simulators.
So I mean,
the rats of us.
I think it's pretty safe to say, Elden Ring, God of War, right? I mean, is that the boat you're?
Yeah, I think those are the two. Yeah.
So I mean, which way are you leaning? I feel like I know where you're going to go. Pony it up, baby. Pony it up. You know you want to.
Elden
Ride
Ring.
that horse.
Elden
You're
Ring.
a liar. You're a
Nope.
liar.
No.
Okay, why? Okay,
So
color me shocked. Why? Explain to me, sir, why Elden Ring is better than God of War.
better and Game of the Year are two different things.
Okay. God of War, as of this recording, is the fastest selling first party Sony title of all time.
Correct. That is true.
Okay.
Elden Ring has charted every month since it debuted, with the exception of October. Elden Ring, the buzz behind that game, you couldn't get away from it. And there were people who didn't even know what Dark Souls was playing this game. You had the whole George Martin tie-in thing that we talked about on one of our other shows. And I think that from everything I've heard, because this is the other thing, I'm saying this and I haven't played Elden Ring. Okay.
Wow.
That's why
balls.
But here's the thing is that's part of the reason why I feel confident in saying that this is, so I don't know if this is a vote, a prediction, maybe a little bit of both, but God of War or a Sony exclusive or a Modern Warfare or Call of Duty or any of these other big franchises are like low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that from everything I heard about Elden Ring, it's the most accessible of all the Souls-like games, if you want to count. And I mean the FromSoft games, not any of the cheap ripoffs, right? Demon Souls, the Dark Souls trilogy, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring.
Your main line.
Yeah. I'm not talking about like, Neo and some of these other, what's the other one? Lords of the Fallen or whatever, like all this dumb shit that's just a ripoff. And I know Neo is good, but it is.
No, I get what you're saying.
It is what it is. But I just feel like that the game had such staying power, and it was a third party game that sold incredibly well. That it's a new IP. It doesn't have name recognition. There was marketing, but there wasn't any commercials with fucking LeBron James in it.
That's true. And who, Ben Stiller?
Yeah, Ben Stiller and John Travolta. Those commercials are actually really funny, but they are
good. It is good marketing, right? I did enjoy it.
But they've sold this game for, when did it? February, right? January, February?
Yeah.
They've sold this game all year and it's never been on sale. And they've managed to sell, it's a crazy amount of copies. I don't know exactly how many, but let me see the last time Elden Ring sales.
I think you're onto something though while you look that up. As far as like
17.5 million units.
That's a large amount.
Yeah.
That is it
sold 12 million in 2 weeks. So
that's wild.
Yeah. For a game that is not like, those games are not accessible. Like that's why the fans like them.
And even when you say Elden Ring is accessible, that is very big air quotes, because there's still the challenge there. It's just the way the game is, as opposed to your other Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls games, is because it's more open because of just the design of the game.
Right.
You can definitely take things more at your own pace instead of being more linear to where you have to go next and how to unlock things. Like you're being forced down corridors, as with Elden Ring. I mean, you can run straight to the first main boss, straight to you can go do whatever or take your time. So, I mean, the combat I wouldn't say is any more accessible. Just the game design is a little bit more accessible. So you have that. So maybe that broadens it to an audience of like, man, I really like the aesthetics of Dark Souls and the lore, and I love it. But man, I'm just not there. Okay, maybe you could pick up Elden Ring, still have fun with it, and still make progress, and get that satisfaction out of it without getting your dick knocked into dirt constantly.
And I think I don't know how far with Ragnarok you are. I am, based on like feel and some other factors, but I feel like I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
And this doesn't feel like a huge step forward.
It feels more like polish, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it does. You take, God of War.
It does, but do you know what else it feels like?
What's that?
It feels like a PS4 game.
No.
Because if I have to shimmy through one more goddamn wall, and we all know that developers use those as loading points or, choke points, whatever, but it just doesn't feel like the next step, even the way that Horizon did from Zero Dawn to Forbidden West. And I love the game. I love the mechanics. The fighting's awesome. I'm really into the story, but it just feels like it just doesn't feel like the next step in the same way even God of War 3 was to God of War 2 in the original trilogy. And that was a PS2 to a PS3.
Right.
And so, and there's a lot that can be said about this game was probably going to be a PS4 game. And then there was, obviously COVID delays, there's a recession, Chris Judge had double hip replacement, whatever, and things got pushed and pushed and pushed. But I think that this game would have hit harder if it was an actual launch window game instead of 2 years later on the PS5, because to me, it just still feels like a PS4 game in a lot of ways. And the difficulty is just not there. And the problem that I have with Sony first party games is, and I know you're not a trophy guy, but they're too easy to platinum.
Yeah.
And there's no difficulty requirements. There hasn't been a difficulty requirement in a first party game that I am aware of since Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, wow.
But you have to beat it on crushing, and then but literally with enough practice and just dialing the accessibility options down and the difficulty down, my 7-year-old could be God of War.
Right.
And
but is that necessarily a knock to have that available? Because I will say that God of War has insane accessibility options.
It does.
And I think
that is a direction that all Sony first party games are going.
Yes.
But I think in this particular 1v1 conversation, it is a factor because the Souls games are unrelenting in the way that they're designed, and I hate the term, but they force you to get good.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that so many people who were outside of this hardcore circle of Souls game fans wanted to buy in and check this out, I think that deserves recognition of Game of the Year.
Because I agree with that. Because Elden Ring is still really effing hard. It is still a very hard game, but yet you have this huge audience now of people picking it up and playing it, knowing that they're going to get their ass whooped, without a doubt. So,
and there's still people making headlines, almost a year later with this game of, streamer. Well, there was the whole let me solo her streamer, and then the speed run things where it was just
I've watched all that
down and down and down, and then
you can check it out on Twitch. It's kind of crazy, the no-hit runs and the no-hit runs, which is great. Shout out to Happy Hob on Twitch, great guy.
Is that the guy who did the 100% no?
I don't know. I saw the article. I didn't read the article though.
Okay.
He does what's called the God Run. He no hits every single
boss
Souls game. No, every single Souls game.
Oh wow!
In a row, and he's done it already.
Wow.
And I think he did it without Elden Ring. It was before Elden Ring came out, but he's done it twice, and this is the third time or so. Whatever. He's insane. Yeah. He's very good. Give him a follow. But the thing with God of War Ragnarok, is I love it. And I hate even saying this because it's not necessarily a knock towards the game, but it's been done before. This is, and I guess you could say the same for Elden Ring, but it's you take that Dark Souls formula and you just expand it, and you just blow it up. And yeah, I guess technically bare bones, it is still a Dark Souls game as far as the mechanics, the leveling, how gear works, how the story's told, all that stuff is still there. But it's like, take all that and throw it in this huge open world setting where you can kind of do whatever. And it really mixes it up. As far as God of War is concerned, it's the same. Like you take the 2018 God of War, and you go right into this one, you almost wouldn't miss a beat. As far as it's the same setting, it's the same kind of linearness of it. And
you and I will play, like, the difference between these two games is that, and I don't think that this is a knock against linear games versus open world games versus, and I know some of the other Souls games are kind of like 3D Metroidvanias in some ways, but there's just not as much, like, you and I at the end of the day are going to play the same God of War game. You know what I mean? I might favor the axe and you might favor the Blaze of Chaos. I might take all the time to do all the side quests as I go, whereas you may just mainline the story and then clean up afterwards, or not even clean up afterwards. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the same.
I always clean up afterwards.
No, that's good to know. It's going to be the same game. But not only can you and I play a different Elden Ring, but you can play a different Elden Ring basically an infinite amount of times.
Yeah.
And I think that that says something. And like I said, it's not a knock against linear games, because a lot of my favorite games, you know, Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War, hell, even like older games like Mario and shit, like those are linear games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's definitely not a knock to that. Linear games are great. I don't want to get that narrative out there. You know, I love linear games when they're done well. And God of War is a great game. Yeah, it's a great linear game. Like, I love it. But
it's not really a knock against. It's like me saying Elden Ring's not a knock against God of War. It's just that I think that in this year, like, that's the game.
Yeah,
and that's the game that this year is going to be remembered for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, Elden Ring has infinite replayability as well. Right. If you enjoy Elden Ring, you can replay it as many times as you want.
2018, what was the game of the year? Do you remember? It was God of War. What's the game that everybody remembers from that year? Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what, you know, again, that is the debate of the VGAs in general. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I feel like it has to be Elden Ring.
Some predictions for what will pop up as far as potential announcements, anything like that, game announcements.
I think we will get a new, I'm going to say feature length, whatever that means for trailers, like not a teaser, an actual trailer for the new Zelda game.
I debated putting that on. Yeah.
I feel like Jeff Keighley's getting real elbow rubby with people at Nintendo. So I would not be surprised to see that.
I'm going to tell you, I have 3.
Okay.
Down. I think that's a good one. I did almost write that down. I'm going to give them to you in the order of, I think, least likely to most likely. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think that we're going to see factions for the first time.
Really?
Like I said, the original Last of Us was revealed and debuted at the VGAs. And this thing has been, I mean, 2020 was The Last of Us Part 2, and we've been sitting here and it's almost 2023. So I think that now's the time. Plus, God of War's out and we really don't know what's coming. And so I think that this is a good way to, at this time, kind of with the lineage of how it was revealed in the first place, I think that this is a great place to get Neil Druckmann on stage and say, okay, you guys have been waiting for it. Here it is.
I don't think that's going to happen at all. I don't think Factions is anywhere close to being shown.
We'll see. Staying in the same lane, I think we'll get a new trailer for The Last of Us HBO show. And I think that Pedro Pascal will be there to show it off.
Ooh. Ooh, do a Keanu Reeves cyberpunk thing for us, huh?
Kind of, yeah. Was that it? That wasn't at the VGAs, was it?
No. I think that was E3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
What is your most likely thing to happen?
It's the ace in the hole because it's Jeff Keighley. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see Kojima's next game.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether it's that Xbox game that he's working on or Death Stranding 2. But I think that because the other thing was like, I think Death Stranding was shown for the first time at the VGAs.
Yes.
And Kojima has a habit of showing like too much shit before the game comes out.
He can't help himself.
So he can't. And I think that Kojima's a cool guy, but I also think that there is a little bit of arrogance to him. And I
he's
think
pretentious.
I
love Kojima, but he's absolutely pretentious.
Pretentious, ordering on narcissistic. But I think that everybody knows that him and Jeff are tight. And I think that this would be one of those things where there's going to be a lot of eyes on this. And so, okay, maybe we bring out Norman Reedus again and, whatever. But I have a sinking suspicion that it's going to be the Xbox game that he's working on.
You think so?
Yeah. Xbox needs something right now.
Yeah, they're a little bit bare coming up. So, I mean, that would be a big boon for them. Yeah. But I don't know. I really think I'm really confident in a Zelda trailer. Like, I really feel like that's going to be his big, like the show
pop
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really it. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because Jeff really does a good job with like bringing up smaller studios and stuff. Yep. I mean, he's part of the reason why No Man's Sky got so much hype they did. Like he was kind of one of the first ones to kind of start showing them off.
Maybe he should have backed that heat off because they lied about what the game is.
Yeah.
It won most anticipated game at E3 like 4 years in a row, and they just kept showing the same shit.
Hey, but now it's up for these Game Awards for best ongoing game support.
Yeah.
Sunrise, Sunset.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, anything to add? Do you think there will be any like there's going to be at least one, this is another like this is a layup of a prediction, but there's going to be at least one really awkward celebrity cameo where they're like, it's like you think they're there for something, like you think it's gonna be like Chris Pratt, and we're gonna get a new Mario trailer, and he's like, hey,
remember when the guys came out for the new Fast and Furious game?
Yeah,
it was some of the actors.
It
was so terrible. And then Jeff's last show, he did this weird like thing with the Pokemon mini car. It was like an ad. It was so weird.
There's always a good bit of just cringy nonsense.
Well, just give me more of the fuck the Oscars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, yeah. And then it's like, here's, the ghost of Brian Walker to talk about the Fast and Furious mobile game that's coming out.
Oh, that's
creating.
That's awful.
Yeah.
But you're right. It would be something like that. So, as far just like kind of to put a button on this,
Gilbert Godfrey is here to talk about Battlefield.
Oh, no, God, I hope not.
I think he died, actually. That's fucked up. It's Gilbert Godfrey. Let me tell you about Battlefield 3042.
I would buy it. So out of the big three, who do you think is going to have the bigger reveal? Is it going to be a Sony game, an Xbox game, or a Nintendo?
I think it'll be Xbox.
An Xbox?
Yeah, outside of The Last of Us, Sony hasn't really played around too much with the VGAs, and Nintendo's just weird, They'll just they'll give us like a 5-minute and 32.5-second direct on the same day instead of just showing a trailer.
Right. Yeah, they were real
like,
weird.
Here's Zelda and Harvest Moon.
Yeah, and it's Harvest Moon on the moon, and then Harvest Moon in hell. And like, God, I am so tired of life simulators.
Oh my God.
I live life enough.
But I will play the next the
Course.
chocolatier one from Concerned Ape.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will play that.
Yes, I will
that
play that. He is in my good graces, so he gets a freebie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm thinking about firing up some Stardew.
Stop.
No, I gotta finish God of War.
Stop.
Geez. You can find us on YouTube and on podcast services around the
G Willikers.
G Willikers.
Yeah, we're
By
there.
golly, it's Gilbert Godfrey, and I'm here. God rest his soul.
You need to work on that. Tell us in the comments what you think about that impression.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
YouTube, BXG Productions, podcast services, BXG Podcast, social media, Instagram at BXG Productions, Twitter at BXG Productions, at Y2B at default. Is it just default? You don't even tweet. You have whatever. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter.
Twitter at Real Donald Trump, and Facebook.com. We're not on Truth Social yet.
Oh, we're getting there though. I think they're trying to verify our account, but we have to give it.
What's one of the new ones? It's like called Hive or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that like a Twitter alternative?
I think so. Yeah.
My internet wasn't on, and I tried to check my Twitter account, and it said like, "Hey, Twitter's not working." I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Well, I mean, the Truth Social stuff we got to send in our NRA cards, so I mean, it's a process. So, but we'll get on there for you people too.
Yep. Yeah, we will do that. And leave us comments, preferably kind ones or not. Whatever. If you leave mean ones, I delete them. So
that's right. And then we cry about it afterwards. But be a friend, tell a friend, let everybody know.
Tell a friend. Like, subscribe, share. We surpassed 100 subs. And
baby,
we are giving away. It's going to be on the regular show. So, but stay subscribed because we'll be giving away another gift card at 200 subs. That's 200 subscribers, not 200 submarine sandwiches, nuclear submarines, Suboxone pills.
It's in the amendments down below. If you check the starred.
Yeah, read the fine print. Yeah. Take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great Thanksgiving. And remember, 8:00 tomorrow morning. Take care.
Yeah. Awful. God.